Oh, absolutely. It just blows their mind. They're confused. They're elevator constructor or like you're not selling elevators. No, I'm installing elevators. Thank you very much. And especially with women, they're just drawn to it. And they're like a celebrity. Can I take a picture with you? You know, you're so rare to come back. I mean, holy cow, you're working on elevators. You're a woman. You're doing this. I'm like, yep, I'm a woman. I do lots of different things. It's Thank you for recognizing that. But yeah, I'm just doing my job. But yeah, guess what? This could be you or your daughter, or your niece, or your nephew, whoever you want it to be. It's just so rarefied and almost celebrity status, and I love it. But it gets them talking about it and talking about the trades and giving them the opportunity that yeah, you can do this yourself too.
Hello, and welcome to the Elevator Careers Podcast, sponsored by the Allred Group. I am your host, Matt Allred. In this podcast, we talk to the people whose lives and careers are dedicated to the vertical transportation industry to inform and share lessons learned, building upon the foundation of those who have gone before to inspire the next generation of elevator careers. When talent is mission critical, call the Allred Group. With industry expertise, top talent, and exceptional customer service, you need the Allred Group on your side. Your priority is their priority. Call now, 404-890-0445. Today our guest is Shannon Drezek, an IUEC elevator constructor, a NEIEP instructor, and a qualified elevator inspector from Oxford, Wisconsin. Shannon has been in the trade for 19 years and is passionate about the work she does. She only wishes she had found it sooner. Shannon is excited that more women are joining the industry, and although they are still in the minority, there is always room for talented and ambitious people. If you have any interest, don't be afraid to give the elevator industry a try. You might just learn to love it like Shannon does. Shannon, welcome to the show.
Hi, Matt. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'm excited. It's honestly, it's not every day that I get to talk to a woman who works as a mechanic in the field. And something that obviously you're aware of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having been there for so long
Right.
and I guess just knowing that you're probably outnumbered a good bit.
Oh yeah, well, most definitely. So, in our estimation, in the U.S. and Canada, there's about 33,000 elevator constructors, and from our best guesstimate, only approximately 300 of those people are females. So we are less than 1%. We're trying every day, and when we see more women coming to the trade and turning that around, but that's still a giant disparagement in number.
So that number 300, how has that changed since you got into the trade?
So it leaps and bounds, I can definitely say, and trickle down. My local, out of the, is a smaller independent local, roughly about currently 140 members, and I am the second female to my local, and we had I'm currently been in the trade for 19 years, and we just had our first female probationary 3 years ago. So for 16 years, it was just the other female journey worker or elevator mechanic in the trade. So it's been very tough, but I can definitely say it has taken the upward swing in the recruitment efforts that are put on by the National Elevator Industry Education Program, NEIEP, and the union itself to get the word out. So to up those numbers. So I've seen we've probably grown about 40 women in the last 3 years.
Wow.
Across the U.S. And that's huge.
So Shannon, do you ever get strange looks when people ask you what you do and you say, I'm an elevator constructor?
Oh, absolutely. It just blows their mind. They're confused. They're elevator constructor or like you're not selling elevators. No, I'm installing elevators. Thank you very much. And especially with women, they're just drawn to it. And they're like a celebrity. Can I take a picture with you? You know, you're so rare to come back. I mean, holy cow, you're working on elevators. You're a woman. You're doing this. I'm like, yep, I'm a woman. I do lots of different things. Thank you for recognizing that. But yeah, I'm just doing my job. But yeah, guess what? This could be you or your daughter, or your niece, or your nephew, whoever you want it to be. It's just so rarefied and almost celebrity status, and I love it. but it gets them talking about it and talking about the trades and giving them the opportunity that, yeah, you can do this yourself too.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, celebrity status. Hey, let's take a selfie. I'll post you on my
Yeah.
Instagram. Elevator constructor.
Yes.
That's
Yep. Girl power hashtag. And we try to use one as elevator constructor women, right? Is hashtag elevate her.
oh
Not only
sweet.
going
Yeah.
up, but
Okay.
it sounds like elevator,
Right.
but elevate her. And we use that all the time. So like, oh, that's great. And they see our clothes or things that we do for it. And everybody wants to do a rosy pose and figure with that. So we just play into it. Whatever's going to get our names out there. And my significant other drives a race car. I actually put a sticker on his car and I make them say the International Union of Elevator Constructors, the women of the elevator constructors,
Love
put
it.
on a race car, advertise it. I'll put it anywhere.
So tell me, I mean, going back to the beginning, right? How did you get in and what was it that, you know, kept you in, right? Once you got in and realized, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I'm like way outnumbered. So I guess let's go to the first question first, but how did this all
Right.
start for you?
So for me, I was in the private sector. I mean, for schooling and secondary education, I'd gone to college prep high school. I was going to go and do college for international business. I didn't like the size of the school that I had to go to and things like that. And I just, my parents said, okay, well, if you're not going to go to school, because I didn't know what I wanted to be, it's so hard
Sure.
to pigeonhole yourself to kick off the bat. If you haven't tried something, how do you know what you want? You're going to
Right.
dedicate 4 years and all of that money to. And so I was, working in manufacturing. They said, you're going to go to work. If you're not going to school, you're going to work. I was fine with that. And then I just found the challenges through those years. Yes, having a job wasn't hard for me. Could get up, go to work, you know, do all that. But the piece was to grow with it. That if I didn't have any type of degree in anything, even if it didn't have to do with what I was currently working in, that I couldn't get any career advancement out of it.
Sure.
So I'm like, this isn't going to cut it for me. You're not going to make me, pick and choose. And how do you know? Because the economy has fluctuated so much since
Sure.
then. So I was actively seeking employment. I saw the elevator constructors listed in the local newspaper, and so that was so 2005
Right.
was when I saw that in the career in there, and I had asked friends of that, and my significant other is in the trades. He's a tradesman, operating engineer. He's currently retired, but I said, well, what about this? Because I just knew he had a great job. He had excellent benefits. Yes, it was tough work, but the money and the health care and the pension that was going to go through it. Like, how can you duplicate that? But I also knew that being with him, what if we don't work out? I didn't want to have a career that didn't reflect my capabilities, and I wanted to make a mark for myself. So I knew his trade was not going to be big enough for the two of us, come hell or high water, whether we were
Sure.
together or not. So I wanted something for my own. So I saw the elevator constructors. I said, "What do you know about this trade?" He says, "That's the top trade. You had experience and background in electronics and manufacturing." He said that should help you with part of that program. So I saw it. I went. I applied and did all of that, and the rest is now history. Because I
Did it
just
scare
knew
you a
that
little bit? I mean, it seemed like it's so foreign, right? You didn't know anybody in it. It's like,
no, absolutely nothing, nobody. I wasn't scared to try something new. I was definitely scared to just be a person.
okay.
Am I going to be tough enough? Am I have the skin tough enough? I mean, I grew up in a family of predominantly men. I only had one other female cousin. I'm like, I can handle this. I can handle that. But just the challenge, am I going to be smart enough? What are they going to ask me to do? But I liked the fact that it was an apprenticeship program. They're going to teach me. I'm going to learn on the job, and I'm going to have classroom to do that. And I'm like, that's fine. I can be a good student. You can set me down. I'm a quick learner. But was I going to have that grit, that extra oomph, the physicality to pull it off? And I did get in the trade later on. I was only 28 years old, so I
Right.
wasn't like fresh, young, and early. Wanted to get in and start a career. So I knew I could handle myself. And I said, what's the worst thing that could happen? I'm going to go
Sure.
there and I'm going to try. They're going to send me home, or it's not going to be good. but at least I tried. I bet on myself that I could do that. And that's what I would want anybody else to do, is bet on yourself. And I'm sure you can overcome it.
Love that. Love that. So as you look back, any regrets? Do you ever wish, oh, I wish I'd have stayed in college, or, oh, I wish I'd have stayed in manufacturing, or, oh,
No, I just wish I would have found the trade a lot sooner. And that other people, and then predominantly women, because they're not associated with the trade, and then especially in our trade. But I had, again, my significant other, he was a teacher in the trades. Also, had seen one of his prior students, and she was successful on the road, doing it, and she had a family and she had a child, and she's saving up, and in her winters she would be laid off, but she'd be on snowmobile trips and she could have a second cabin. And I'm like, well, that's great. All I have to do is show up and go to work and just try my hardest and do it. Yeah. So I wish I would have found it sooner. I wish I would have been exposed. I grew up in a blue collar family of police officers and teachers and, union based and city workers and county workers. But to just see it, not just a college prep high school, but, many high schools now don't even have, shop or,
sure.
Home economics or things like that to teach these like real world skills that
Right.
people need to succeed. Why are you pushing us into like political atmospheres or things like that? I mean, what you need to know how to prepare a meal or iron your shirt, or,
Right.
maybe you do need to build a birdhouse or work on a car someday or things like that. That's down to the grit. And I think we're finally turning and bringing back value to that work and that
Thank
the
you.
need
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah. I hope so. What would you say keeps women from being in the trade? Yeah. Is it, what could it be?
I seen the people. It doesn't apply to me necessarily in my situation, but it is actually surprisingly enough childcare. Of course, women are having the children, right? Unless you can go through surrogacy or IVF, but predominantly women are carrying these babies and early childhood development until they're able to go to school. And even in situations of single fathers or divorce or things like that, but it is the child care who the parent, they'll take the sacrifice of their job and their careers. And it's so ironic because they could be making top tier benefits, top
Sure.
tier money to take care of these families and provide for them and give them whichever direction they want to raise them. But it's also keeping them from getting those jobs, going through the apprenticeship, the long hours of working construction, because that's what you're going to start off in. And it's finding, the early child care to take care of them when they're not in school. And then of course, navigating 10 or 12-hour work days. How do we get them early? How do you get to the job and work 6 to 4, 6 to 5, and out of town and things like that. So it is a big thing that's come up with our other sisters and just our members that, if they go through the life changes of, planning marriages or divorces, or they're like, I'm having kids, is this going to mess up my career, my future, becoming a mechanic, or, however they find it. And, many of them, they're successful families of dual partners, of where, the wife and the husband are both elevator constructors. I mean,
Sure.
I know, women that have already retired out, and that's how they met. And now their sons are in it, and they're all just trying to make it work and balance for each other. But if we can open the eyes in the construction industry, union or not, that's keeping us away from a talented pool of people, men or
Sure.
women, to come to the trades in general.
Interesting. So on one hand, I hear that childcare is the issue. On the other hand, I hear that if you as a family, or you work together, there are ways to work around that to make it successful. And
Mm-hmm.
and for those who have, it's good for the family. It's not. I mean, obviously there are a lot of corporate jobs. I spent many years just in corporate America, right? And
Sure.
women have families. They have to. Obviously men as well. I'm just saying that to your point,
Right.
often the childcare, has traditionally landed in the, in the women's corner. And so
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a ways to work through that.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe what I'm hearing you say is, yes, this can be an issue. Yes, it can be worked through. And maybe it's perception as much as anything that says, okay, I can't do that because of childcare, but just, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
expanding people's awareness that no, this can be done, and this is
Right.
how it's been done, and here are some examples of people doing it. So
Right.
that's kind of what I'm gathering from what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Many people have said, "Oh, is it, the physicality of the work, or the education, or not the knowledge?" Right? And I'll say to that, I mean, you can learn anything with the right teacher. Not everybody's
Sure.
a teacher, maybe, and people learn different ways. But the trades is definitely the way to go. That I wouldn't say that you never really necessarily know if you are mechanically minded or electrically minded unless you try it. There's no litmus test really to do that otherwise in our testing procedures. So people have said, is that what's keeping women out, or people disinterested in the trade and not doing it? And I think surprisingly enough, no, it's not. I would definitely say it's other priorities that are taking them away from not choosing these careers, because you go out there, they can see you working. And I've had men or women, hey, that's great, I would love to do that, but this family situation and this has it that keeps me from the work schedule, which definitely we have to be freed up. Many people do, and particularly my local, I travel in a 3-state area, so I have to be very flexible at that. But
Yeah.
then there's still other people in my local that are doing it, and they'll do whatever it takes and with their home life to balance it. And yeah, I guess it takes, understanding of the other partner. Like I was able to with my significant other, that understood from a construction background that, hey, if I have to go and I have to be out of town, this is what's going to have to happen. You're
Sure.
going to have to pick up the bit, take care of the things at home. But I think that's, with anybody, whether you're working with a doctor that's on call, a first responder that's going to have to leave in the middle of the night and things like that when we're taking elevator calls. I think that's just going to be in any relationship, is to find the other person that's going to understand your work and, again, weigh out the balances of that. If your absence for that paycheck is going to be worth what your goals are as a family or as a couple.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I mean, what comes to mind is, I think there's a lot of, tradition, there's history, there's stereotypes around who does
Sure.
what jobs, and I
Hmm.
know a lot of families where the one of the spouses is a nurse, and they have interesting shifts, and they have, maybe it's a 12-hour, maybe they're traveling, maybe they're, there's all kinds
Right.
of challenges to
Hmm.
taking care of a family, and yet they can all get worked through. So, yeah, I think it might just be people's awareness that, oh, hey, this is an option. And certainly if someone has those skills, I know that technical and electrical competence does not run on gender lines, right? It's just
Correct.
some guys don't do it, some do, some women, it just depends.
Exactly.
But I think getting the message out there. So I'm curious, what are some things that you do, maybe your local or your involvement with NEIEP, to get that message out? Because it sounds like it's maybe a little slower than certain others to just to get out to the public.
It is. It is. We all try to do wherever we can with our time. It's definitely public engagement, and I think it's already too late if we're just trying to hit even the high school level, or just say like say Skills USA, or the STEM programs that are happening now in the high schools and things like that, or just going to technical colleges, or just doing a job fair. I think for us to really stand out and the interest, you have to almost hit them in like a grade school or a middle school aspect, and still get to people or kids with the imaginations, right? Because they still haven't gotten to the confines. If they still want to be an astronaut or a ballerina or things like that, you still need that creativity to find that outlet, right? Or a race car driver, things like that, and kind of steer that, working with your hands or trying that. Even artists, right? Because almost like architecture or anything else that's going in our trade. You're going to have to be able to walk into a room and kind of see a bigger picture and imagine. And you should already, by the time you get into the trade, like journeyed out, you can already see where, the challenges are going to be, what you're going to have to overcome, possibly what you need. So you need that creativity. And it's
Interesting.
really hard. And it kind of I think gets taken away from any of our jobs or going forward. A lot of that creativity and AI is coming out with that, besides the physicality. So it's great to get that. And I think we're getting to those people. But I mean, it's just any opportunity working. with again high school career fairs, or just the interest doing a Zoom communication call, and maybe sending out some tape measures, because
Mhm.
grade school they're learning fractions. So hey, guess what? We're a job where you use those fractions. It's on a tape measure, right? And you give that, and it helps them learn those things, and
Sure.
bringing out the awareness. So we have people let us know, but just career fairs that are out there. I try to look for anything different. Hook up with the local urban league, or another big thing that we're trying to tap into is for the indigenous groups, right? So
Okay.
we have tribal that you can work. They have, actual tribal centers to help pair them up, to get people that maybe are only exposed to reservation life, or, unfortunately limited to casinos, or things like that, America has set aside for them. Well, we need to go to them and see where the talent and skill, and it's just mind blowing when you come up to those people and be like, hey, did you ever think about it? Money's always going to be attractive to anybody, and I can always
Sure.
walk in and say, hey, you want to come work for the highest paid trade? But hopefully it's not just chasing the money. It's be like, hey, have you ever thought of this? What kind of skill or gift do you think you have? And it's transferable, whether they're already into a trade that you're seeing an electrician on a job site, or a plumber, and be like, hey, do you want to do that for the rest of your life? Or do you see what I'm doing over here? And, potentially, talking about skills and wages and things like that. And people come up and ask you. So, wearing the clothes, or be seen, and things like that, wherever we can, job fairs, career fairs, just anywhere that to take the time and do that. And in our recruitment efforts, we'll send letters out, but I think we really need to maximize in person and people seeing that, because I know when I saw it advertised in the newspaper, and just like anybody else is going to see a piece of paper that's going to come by, they're really not going to associate it with the work. So if they see you doing that and putting those out, I mean, I think we need to do more commercials out there, and
There you go.
whatever
Yeah.
we can to bring the awareness. And your podcast has been great for that. I appreciate
Oh, thank you.
you working it through. I know you're bringing people, perhaps on the corporate side, but to take the time to know in the field, because it's a perfect marriage. We all need each other
Thank you.
inside, in the office, and outside, to make that
Yeah.
all
Well,
happen.
honestly, when you and I first talked, right, the kind of what I was saying was I want more of the mechanics. Not only are you the ones doing the work, but
Sure.
some of the most passionate people, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
just the love, and oh, I love what I do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that excites me every time I hear it, because I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge swath of the population that can't say that doesn't enjoy what they do. And so to hear you say, I tried college, I tried manufacturing, I really found myself in this
Mm-hmm.
elevator trade, and opportunities to grow and to earn, and to really make a contribution to the world. What is it that you love the most? What was it that really clicked for you?
I like the variety. It's not just going to one place every single day. It's not just you're going to be doing this. It's the whole variety of the tasks, and the awareness and working, and then definitely the teamwork that's involved, right? And that you really get to showcase and bring your thoughts and your talent, and seeing it come to fruition. And it's going up there. It's like, hey, I did that. Stand back. And now it's going to be there until either they modernize this equipment, or they just tear this whole building down and something new goes in. But to walk away and like, I did that, like planting a tree, or, I don't have children, perhaps having a child, is to see that something there that you can go back and revisit and see that. And definitely, the other point of it is working with the apprentices. I had great teachers, giving me the opportunity. Like I said, wasn't, tinkering around with my dad, working on cars, or anybody else that had led it. So, they don't let you play with power tools in cubicles. They kind of frown on that in
Yeah.
offices. So to get loud and just demolition and tear it down, and the dirt and the grit, and tear it all down, and then put something new in, or build it from scratch and make it coordinate. It's just like Legos on steroids. We can do that, but then teaching somebody else, hey, I'm going to teach you the tips and tricks, or perhaps they're going to show you something new, because everybody learns differently. Everybody experiences, and that give and take, and seeing the light go off in their head, what's in the classroom, or, putting the tool in their heads. They're like, okay, I showed you this one. Now go for it. Just start cranking. And they're like, really? Are you sure I'm allowed to do this? And I'm like, yeah, what are you going to do? You're going to break something? We'll just buy a new part. I mean, that's the nice thing
Right.
about it. My boss might not think that or appreciate me saying that, but it's all fixable. And you have to give somebody that confidence and that space to grow and learn. And that's the best part about the trades, is that there's no perfection to it, but it'll come together and it'll work out.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. This is Matt with a brief message from our sponsor. The Allred Group has been recruiting elevator industry talent for over 14 years. If you are looking to grow your business and hire great people, contact the Allred Group at allredgroup.com. That's ALLREDGROUP.com, and talk with Matt and his team about how they can assist you. And now back to the show. And the way you talked about learning through confidence and using your hands. I mean, what I'm hearing and kind of what I'm interpreting here is just that you're allowed to use your creative energy. And you talked about younger kids, younger than middle school even, and they're still trying to think about astronaut, ballerina. I find that fascinating. That yeah, maybe as we get far along enough in world culture, it's like, oh no, you need to fit into this mold. But when they're young enough to not have been tainted, if you will, by the stereotypes and oh, I need to please so and so. They can be a little more creative, and it almost sounds like you kind of allowed your inner child to come out and, hey, we're going to create something amazing, and then we're going to stand back really in awe that look what we did, and look, it works, and it takes us up and down. This is such a smooth ride. This is amazing.
Right. Yeah. And that was definitely the draw to this, was that, there's market has many electricians and many plumbers and carpenters, but you get down to it. I mean, depending upon the size of the building, it might just be two people putting in an elevator. And I was like, holy cow. And I'm the other person, and we're going to do all of this. Yep. We're going to make it work. And that's been the best part, is that, and it is a well-kept secret because of that. You don't need a lot of people to do it. Just the time and the material to do it, and the right tools. And that's been the greatest thing, is that it's not like you're just putting 100 people on it and you don't know what part you did or anything else. I mean, we need you to show up. We need you to do your part, be thinking, actively engaged, thinking safety, looking out for your safety, for each other's safety, and the proper tools, and get that flow. So yeah, it's amazing to be able to do that with such lower overhead per se of personnel doing it. So
that's cool. So you talked when we talked before a little bit about being an educator, right, in the NEIEP program. How did you kind of get into that, to teaching classes and training?
I just kept on asking and asking, because I had the passion for it, and I thought I would take the time to explain and do a temperature check. Did that, make sense, or anything else? And, get the feedback of just like when I was, working on the job, and people say, hey, thanks, you have the patience for it. Or, you explained it to me a different way than another mechanic did at one time. I'm like, okay, great. Well, maybe I can, do this more broad and doing that. And so, and then I like a mentorship part of it too. So I like having the apprentices right away. I like to do the lower semesters, the entry level things, because that's all about the safety and the skill set, and it's active in what I'm doing, and it's practical. Those to instill those qualities right away. So I like to do what's now semester 100. We kind of change our curriculum, but that's the lessons in CPR. Which is important on a construction site. And then again, especially if you're working with two people and it's not a big active job site, you might be the only trade on the job that day. But the reliance that, your teamwork, you need to rely on each other in case of emergencies, have somebody minded that way. Building scaffolding, which is kind of a dying art with the technology that's going on. But if you're going to do a repair or something, it might come up. So you need to be able to do that safely. But it's earning those degrees. And then, of course, OSHA. I'm passionate about OSHA. I try to do that because out in the community and some of our pre-apprenticeship programs that some of the states can put on, and I participate with one in our state. It's trying to get people that are thinking about a career in the trades, whatever trade it is, and they really steer them towards the union trade. So that's a priority for me personally, but is to teach them that safety of, what needs to happen, reinstilling these things, because there are too many incidents that are happening They went up before COVID, and we're coming back down to it. But then, of course, just the dynamics of our society also is that reaching out, that there's a language barrier, that there's still accidents, and we have people from everywhere, every culture, is the melting pot in the U.S. So to take the time to teach about safety, make sure they understand it, allow opportunities that if you get down to anybody in the trade, and it's universal, whether it's the elevator trade or any of the other trades, that those basic safety, that even if people don't have access to that education themselves, that hopefully somebody else, I try to teach them on the job, is to look out for other people that are on there. Just because they're not your trade doesn't mean it's not your business, because we're all working in the same space eventually. So it's a very a community thing that I like and drive. And so that's the thing, is to give them a chance, my opportunity. And then again, to never say that this has never happened to me, or I always do it safe. I don't think that's practical, and I have scars all over my body to prove it, but I've learned from my mistakes. I can identify those hazards, and if I choose to do something, I understand the risk associated with it. So to really let people know and find a common ground. I definitely don't like to talk down to people. I just want to find their interest and what interests them, and find that correlation, so that they learn some way, somehow, and take some skill or knowledge that they didn't have, and of course receive that in return.
Very cool. How long had you been in the trade before you got an opportunity to teach the NEIEP courses?
For me personally, I was in 15 years before I got the opportunity.
Yeah.
But that also, depends on, what's going on in the local area. If we have enough teachers doing that. And then, of course, NEIEP updating their curriculum, updating computers, became a bigger necessity during COVID and distance learning for our students. But it's better to learn hands-on, and they try to do that in the classroom. And then, of course, depending upon the type of work somebody's doing in the trade, it depends on, how you can move in and move through it. But a phenomenal training facility. All the instructors are, taken out to Rhode Island to do that, top notch. So it's consistent as you can be, because everybody's different. Everybody picked up a key, thing that their interests are passionate about. And that's the great part, but it all comes together, and all that access. But I could, still jump on a computer program that if I need to fill in, for a class that needs to do distance learning, I could still be talking to a group in Texas in my time zone, or if I had to pick it up. So it's great. Again,
Very
it's
cool.
not the same thing all the time. There's variety, and I thrive on variety.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. I mean, it sounds very energizing, both the constructing side and the instructing side. And so it's fun to hear your passion, your experience. And obviously by the time you got into instructing, 15 years is, you've learned a lot, right? You've certainly you've like you said, you got some scars to prove that, okay, yeah,
Right.
I learned from this one.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I know I'm the same way, right? It's like I have to land on my face a few times before I
Right.
learn the lesson. Hopefully though, it's not, so severe that I can't recover and learn from it. Right. And I know that's a huge part of teaching safety in the trade, because you are in a high risk environment. You're in a high risk occupation. Much. And so the cost of not being safe is bigger in that environment. You don't want to mess with that.
Absolutely.
So, we're kind of getting close to the end here, and I'm curious if you had anything that you wanted to, I guess, say before I ask my last question.
Yeah. No, I just love the passion. There's great people in the trade, to find it and support. And that's been the great connector, that even if we are small and in our own locals and within the state, when you reach out and be active in the union, in the local, in your community, you find so many people to feed off of their energy and make those connections and learn so much more that's bigger of our trade and how construction works in general, and both sides of it. So it's just so important to have a big picture to understand what your small part may be, that to be open to it, and the willingness to learn and grow with it. And as we know, technology is taking us in different paths. So it's best for anybody in the trades, I think, is to do it well, you have to be willing to continue to learn because
For sure.
you have to keep up with everything. So it's definitely, a learning environment. It's not like once you know everything, you'll never know everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So
Mhm.
my last question is, what advice would you give to somebody who's maybe considering getting into the trade, or maybe they're brand new?
Mhm.
What would make the biggest difference from your perspective?
The most important thing that seems to be so basic is, showing up on time, showing up to listen and to participate it. But again, you don't know what your favorite flavor of ice cream is unless you try it. So to not be scared to try for yourself. If you have an interest and an opportunity to do it, just try it. If it doesn't work out for you, you can walk away. If it doesn't work out with the employer, they'll let you know and walk away. But just to limit yourself, life's too short to do that. And there is so much work, and this is the work that can't be traded outside the US or anything else. Buildings are here to stay. Buildings are going to go up, so it requires all those trades. But to give the confidence that you need to try it, you won't know unless you try it. Nobody can do it for you, but to show up with that willingness to learn something new, and definitely to get your hands dirty and dive into it. But and even if you don't like this aspect of it, there is so much more in our career. Even if you're book smart and you like the code and diving into that, you can be an inspector. We have a great need for inspectors and things like that. But it definitely helps if you've had the experience to work in the field to associate with what's going on. But if you're an engineer, you might be, you might be creating the next conveyance that I'm installing. There's so many aspects and such a need amongst all the companies and all of our trade that I'm sure you could find something. So, just show up and give it a try, give yourself that chance, and come with a willingness to learn, and you might make a successful career out of it. And we can use all the help we can get.
Beautiful. Thank you, Shannon. That is one thing I see over and over, is that just getting in, learning your part really opens up doors to other things that I haven't seen in other career areas as much, right? To see somebody
Right.
move from maybe they're in ops, and then now they're in sales, and now they're inspecting, and now they're leading,
Yep.
and now they're owning, and now they're, there's just all
Exactly.
kinds of opportunities that
Yes.
will present themselves as you get in, do a great job, learn your
Absolutely.
stuff, and then, write your own ticket.
It is. That, just like you said, bet on yourself, and you can carry your way. You make your name. And that's everything in the trades. They'll hire you. They'll
Yep.
seek you out.
Yep, absolutely. Shannon, thank you so much for being with me today. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you for the opportunity, Matt. Pleasure to meet you face to face on it, and thanks what you're doing for putting the word out about elevators in our industry.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun for me, and I appreciate you being with me today.
Super. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you for listening to the Elevator Careers Podcast, sponsored by the Allred Group, a leader in elevator industry recruiting. Please visit our YouTube channel at Elevator Careers, or check us out online at elevatorcareers.net. Please like and subscribe, and until next time, stay safe.